Welcome back, Year 5. It is time for us to have a little bit of a look at maths. So let me share my screen and let's start with our starter. So this is a bit of a be the teacher sort of moment for you. Ava says to multiply 23 by 57, I just need to calculate 20 times 50 and 3 times 7 and then add the totals. What mistake has Ava made and explain your answer? So pause the screen. What has Ava done wrong? Think back to what we looked at yesterday and what method we used. What mistake has she made and how can you help her out? Okay, if you haven't done it yet, pause the screen. If you have, then come with me. So what Ava's done is Ava has forgotten about multiplying the tens by the ones in both cases. So she's done 20 times 50 and she's done 3 times 7, but she hasn't remembered to do 20 times 7 or 3 times 50. Hopefully you guys managed to work out the answer to that as well if you were helping her. But remember, with those sorts of questions, it's not enough to just be able to tell her what the answer should be. We need to be able to explain where she made a mistake and how she can correct it as well. So that's what she's forgotten to do. Okay, so today we are continuing to look at multiplying two-digit numbers by two-digit numbers, and we're going to be looking more at using the formal method of the column method. We have looked at the column method before with multiplying by one digit, so now we're going to have a look to see how that changes when we're multiplying by two-digit numbers. If you would prefer to keep using the method that we looked at yesterday, that is still an option. And for some of you, for your stretch, I will ask you to show your answers using both methods so that you can really prove a deeper understanding of them. So when we're looking at multiplying, there's lots and lots of synonyms that might show multiplication. You might see lots of, you might see repeated addition, product of, groups of, timesing, or multiples. And throughout this, I will try to use a wide range of that vocabulary so that you get more and more familiar with it. So let's remind ourselves of how we use the column method to multiply by a one-digit number. So I've got 21 times 6 as my example. So the first thing I need to do is one lot of 6 ones, which is 6, that goes in the ones column. If I know that 6 lots of 2 is 12, then 6 lots of 2 tens will be 12 tens, which is the same as 120. So my answer is 126. The product of 21 and 6 is 126. Now, you can see for my example for multiplying two-digit numbers by two-digit numbers, all I've done is added a 10 to that example there. So hopefully we should be able to see where the differences are. So we're going to look at 21 times 16, which we could say is 16 lots of 21, the product of 21 and 16, the 16th multiple of 21, 21 groups of 16, 21 times 16, or 21 multiplied by 16. That's all different ways of saying that same sum. You can see I've set it out in almost exactly the same way, but I've given myself 2 rows instead. The top part is the set. Sorry, I can partition 21 into 2 tens and 1 1, and I can partition 16 into 1 10 and 6 ones. And if I have a look over here, that's what I managed to do. Now, when I'm working it out, I can split my columns and my rows underneath the sum so that I've partitioned the bottom number. So I'm going to do 21 times 6 in that top row and 21 times 10 in that bottom row. So let's have a look. 21 times 6, we know how to do that. So the product of 1 and 6 is 6. The product of 2 and 6 is 12. So my top answer will be 126. Now I'm going to multiply by the tens column of the second row. So one lot of 10 is 10. So I need to remember to put that 0 in as well to say 10, because this is a tens column. I'm not just doing 1 times 1. Now 20 lots of 10 is 200. No, yes, yeah, 200. So I've got my hundreds column in here, so a 2 goes in there, so it's 210. Now I add those two together. 6 adds 0. Sorry, I didn't realize I hadn't done that. 6 plus 0 is 6. 2 plus 1 is 3. 1 plus 2 is 3. So my answer is 336. Now, there's a bit of a top tip here. Whenever you multiply by a multiple of 10, the ones column is always going to be 10. So in our examples, 21 times 10, 1 times 110 is 10. If I've got 35 times 25, 5 times 2 tens is 100, so that will always be a 0 as well. 8 times 110 is 80, so that will always be a 0. So I always need to put a 0 in the ones column on my second row when I'm multiplying by a multiple of 10. So let's try another one using that method. Have a go yourself and then look to see if you followed along with what we managed to do there. So pause it, have a go at that using the column method, and then we'll go through it, and then I'll lead you on to your questions. So I can partition the numbers, but really it's only the bottom number I need to partition here. So I've partitioned 23 into 2 10s and 3 1s, or 20 and 3. Now I'm going to do the top row first. The top row is always multiplying by the ones. So 5 lots of 3 gives me 15. You'll notice that I've put my carries at the top. If I put them underneath, then I might end up being confused when I do the second row. So I've put them nice and small up above it. 4 lots of 3 is 12. Add the 1 gives me 13. So 45 times 3 is 135. Now I've got to do 45 times 20. I know that I can put that 0 in straight away because anything times by a multiple of 10 is going to end in a 0. So I can put 0 in the ones. Now, if I look at 5 lots of 2 10s, so 5 lots of 2 is going to give me 10. So what I can do is I can put 10 in there. Sorry, I jumped ahead. There we go. So I can put the 0 in there and I'll carry the 1 across. 5 lots of 20 is 100, which is why we see it ending up looking like this. 4 lots of 2 is 8. Add the 1 is 9. So I can put a 9 in there. So 45 times 20 is 900. If I wanted to use what I know already, I might know that 45 times 2 is 90. So I could work that out to work it out. Use that to work it out. Now, after that, I've got to add them together. 5 plus 0 is 5, 3 plus 0 is 3, 1 plus 9 is 10. So my answer is 1035. Now let's have a look at how we could do that using yesterday's method as well. So I'm going to split both numbers, partition both numbers into 40 and 5 and 20 and 3. And I'm going to use that grid method. So I have my 4 multiplication sums. So I've got 20 times 40, 20 times 5, 3 times 40, and 3 times 5. Once I've worked them out, I know that 3 times 5 is 15, 3 times 4 is 12, so 3 times 40 must be 120, 2 times 5 is 10, so 20 times 5 must be 100, 2 times 4 is 8, which means I'm adding those 2 extra zeros, so that must be 800. Got to add them all together. 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 5 is 5, 0 plus 2 plus 0 plus 1 is 3, 8 plus 1 plus 1 is 10, so that gives me 1035 again, which is the same answer. So I've used that to double check. So now it's your turn. Can you have a go at using the column method or the grid method to find the answer to these? I would certainly recommend for the first couple of questions at least using both methods so that you can use them to check each other, just in case you made a couple of small mistakes. So here are your arithmetic questions. Pause the screen if you are going to have a go at these. Quite a lot of you are just doing these and not the word problems, and there's a large group of the class that if we were doing this in school, I wouldn't give you access to this. I would just give you the word problem straight away to push yourselves. So please make sure that even though you are at home, you're looking to extend your learning and push yourself. Here's your first batch of word problems. So pause it here. Remember, there's 6 word problem questions. They're just over 2 slides. So please do 6 of them, not just 3. There's your second batch of word problem questions. And then finally, here is your challenge. You might have to use a bit of trial and error with this one. So Tommy says it's not possible to make 999 by multiplying two-digit numbers. Do you agree? Explain your answer. Once you've done them, go back through for the answers because they are coming up. Okay. So here are your answers for the arithmetic questions. Go through and double check. Again, if you're not sure about how I got any of the answers or your answers are wildly different, please do email me and ask, and I can have a look at your workings and tell you where you went wrong. Here's your answers for the first batch of word problem questions. So the first one, you needed to do 42 times 24 because there are 12 months in 1 year, which means there are 24 months in 2 years. In the second question, you needed to do 45 times 25, and then separately 38 times 32, and then work out the difference between those two answers, which is why you've got 91. For the third question, 54 times 37. For the fourth question, 28 times 74. For the fifth question, you needed to do 82 times 45 and then 49 times 38 and then add those two numbers together. And then finally, you needed to do 48 times 78. For your answer to your problem question, he is incorrect. There is one sum that does give you the answer 999, which is two two-digit numbers being multiplied together, and that's 37 times 27. So very, very well done if you managed to get that. Send me over your answers. If there's anything that you weren't sure about or any methods that you got a bit confused by, please do email me with what you did, and I can have a look and see where you might have gone wrong. But use both methods to check to start with.